All right, so welcome back to our podcast here.
Yeah.
And today our topic is AI and academics.
Well, that's a big topic.
Yeah, it's very controversial.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on modern AI? You got DeepSeek, you got ChatGPT, you have all these countless AIs and students using them. Like, what's your perspective?
We actually 2 years ago, 2 years now. 2 years ago when ChatGPT comes out, we actually in UST here, we actually have an interesting meeting. The meeting actually involved about 300 people,
Wow.
and there are students, there are teachers, there are administrators. So it's actually an interesting topic that we actually discuss on. And then basically it's open discussion about okay, AI is coming, it's very powerful, it's more powerful than what we thought.
That's true.
So how should we do it and should we do something about it and something like that? Okay, in the old times before ChatGPT comes out, there was this thing that we were saying, okay, AI would not replace you because AI would basically do most of the repetitive job. Meaning if it's very robotic, let's say you are in accounting. If accounting is matching ledger to ledger, in and out, likely this is a very robotic job.
That is.
And likely this will be easily replaced by robots. So that's the first thing. But then ChatGPT comes out, and our argument was, hey, do the creative stuff. Do your photography, do your calligraphy, do the philosophy thing that AI would not be able to actually replace.
Yeah.
But then suddenly we have ChatGPT, we actually make image better, and actually it's very creative. It creates poem very quickly. It creates music very quickly. So even the creative job is gone. So that's something that we were really scared. Another thing that people are asking about, what about people cheating? Because a lot of teachers will say, hey, I have all these model answered in my final exam. So that, okay, and then if the student can actually just ask ChatGPT to actually answer it, likely ChatGPT is 80% plus correct. So if we allow them to actually do it at home, they would be answering, but also doing at the same time, actually ChatGPT with the same thing. Then the exam would be useless. Okay, so then we cannot assess if they are doing well. Okay, that's a old argument. This is UST, right? We are University of Science and Technology, not stress and tension. So basically what we do is we look into what's the future. Actually, what actually comes up with that conversation is that we really think that if we do not adopt AI quickly, in 2 years, this is exactly about 2 years later, we will be irrelevant. There's no need for university. If we actually not figure out a new way to actually adopt it and embrace it in a way, or tame it in a way, so that we can actually make it for good use for us. Yeah, then it will not be useful. So what did we do there? We actually look into, okay, let's say we actually design it. We actually design a document. The document is now Creative Commons. Any university, any high school teachers can actually download as a best practice. And our CEI, Center of Education Innovation, actually help lead the process. Now multiple universities are actually adopting the process. That we basically cut into 4 different ways of adopting AI into class. And then one is completely ignored, completely not allowed. The other university, the one in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong University in the Hong Kong Island thing. Yeah, figure out which one. Then over here, they actually announced that they would not allow it. Here, at almost about the same time, in my class, we start actually saying that you can actually use it for anything. Okay, this one they figure out in 2 weeks this does not work, and then most of the newspapers are actually reporting them. Then they figure out they might not be relevant in 2 years. But here, this part, let's say how I do it in my class. My thinking is, first thing, we just don't have exam. We never have exam. It's you are in my class, right? We do presentation. So there's no model answer. And if there's a model answer, you're just memorizing it. So we are not trying to have you focus on your short-term memory. It's not designed for DSE. Is like, okay, remember this. After I take the exam, tomorrow I will forget about the whole thing. We don't want you to just memorize it. We want you to learn. And the best way of learning is doing. So after you do a little bit, after you start understanding a problem, identify what the problem is about, and then focusing on how you might solve it, which might involve some creativity. But then you actually start looking into how the process is working, or you need to try it to see if your idea works. Then you change the direction a little bit, tune it a little bit to actually keep on solving a problem. Life or the world have too many problems. So learning to solve problem is actually one of the most important things. Learning to learn to solve problem is another thing. So the old way of doing it should be gone soon. So we always need to learn new things to actually do it. But then how do we actually learn on to actually try out things? So then to us, very important entrepreneurial thinking. It's you need to accept that you might be wrong and immediately change path. In entrepreneur we call it pivot. You change the direction, right? You change the direction and actually do something. But you don't forget who you care about. You still remember in our class we talk about the 2 diamond, and the first diamond is always about who needs some help to do something. What the person's pain point is about. So if you have a who, where you actually go and interview, understand them, and that's called empathy, right? You walk through the process, understand how difficult their life is, but then you can create different solution. So the solution can change. It can be AI driven. The more AI driven, we will actually force you to do faster. The way that I design it, normally you are in my class. Normally, some of the homework that you guys are doing, we give people 2 weeks. Now we give you 30 minutes in class. You have gone through some of those, and it's so fast that you need. And then I don't even know the word. How do I create a problem to actually solve it? The idea for that particular design is actually, it's a little bit unfair, I would say. But the idea is actually it's tight. Because in your generation, you are facing crazy world, right?
Like
the whole world is
changing.
It's changing so quickly.
Everything feels very tight.
Everything, so handling tension, handling stress is actually part of the whole process. But by doing that many times, just like when you are running, and then if you are waiting, right? Wait when you're weighted training, you actually learn better. So when you really want to solve the real problem, maybe you actually take out all the weight, you actually do better. And with AI, you should move even faster. With AI working with multiple person in Generation Z, you should be 3-4 person editing the same file at the same time. You understand? You have seen that in our class, right? It's designed so that the only way that you meet the deadline, it's 4 person acting on different things. You need trust. You need teamwork. You need leadership to actually get it done.
Building that connection.
And building that, all those, it's actually preparing you for the future. So AI become part of the tool. And then obviously we still have a lot of discussion of how AI might or might not replace us. But the argument now is about, it's not if AI can replace us today, but the next person who knows AI and if you don't know, would replace you. So we really think all students should be AI literate. So obviously in university we're driving it, but let's say in my work in primary school we start introducing that. So you are facing competitor 12 years younger than you, but they are learning already. So after 12 years, likely they will be even better than you of today.
I mean, they're fully embracing the technology, and then we're teaching like everyone how to utilize AI. So we don't. So we're in path with the modern development. And especially with AI, it's one thing that really. Like one concern or one question I had was like if we're focusing on AI and creativity, because creativity, it's something you create something brand new. But with AI, trained with the knowledge that we have, like something really raises my concern is whether it has the full potential to, actually come up with something or discover something that we have never ever thought of before.
Good point.
Because it's trained by us. It's trained by and built by our creativity, what we have. So the limits are their limits. What I see are actually our limits too. But do you think they have the capability to exceed our creativity?
It's actually a very interesting point. I will give you 2 examples. One, it's there's a famous person that actually said that all new science improvement is just done through how does he say it? One step, we are stepping on the shoulder of giants, and we're just going one more step. Albert Einstein said that. So the ultimate mathematician, or that create all these new things, that and in physics, in mathematics, and so on. He's very humble in the sense, but he does not. He even have to be humble because he create all these things. But the humbleness is actually we need all the history of all the knowledge together, that extra one step forward. it's the creativity that you talk about, right?
Yes.
So if AI allow most of us to actually capture all the history of things, then you're correct. We need to push ourselves to go that one step further. And that one step further can be a completely new thing. E equals mc squared, we still don't fully understand. And then
Maybe it's a
back
new
home,
equation.
it's the new equation, or the same equation applying to a new situation that nobody heard. Let's say for creativity, let's say 100 years ago, impressionists, when people were drawing pictures, they used to draw things that they try to imitate the real thing. But then suddenly one technology comes, photography, camera. So people are challenged because the painter now is facing the competition is not other painter. It's people taking pictures.
It's a new tech, yeah.
So the new technology would capture that moment and actually do things a lot more real than the one painting, right? What did they do? These people start something called impressionists. So instead of trying to imitate the world, they capture an impression. The impression is this is the view that we see. But let's say I am very sad today. So the way that I draw it would express my emotion into it. So the impression of this is what I take. The way that I draw it, it would be different from anybody taking a photo. So human being facing a new technology that comes in, photography. But then that becomes impressionist. And the impressionists later on move on. Van Gogh being one. That when he draw things, he actually just see things that most people would not see. And when during his lifetime, nobody can appreciate that because people think your stuff is not real, because it's not imitation of the world,
it doesn't
right?
align with
what people see,
the modern logic, or
but now we know that
norms.
But then he's a breakthrough. He's a genius by seeing things beyond what's the real what people are seeing. He in a way a camera cannot be.
Yeah,
obviously,
It's like he's one step ahead.
One step ahead, and actually creating abstract meaning of the world. That's what impression is about. Later on, Picasso moving on to actually do the whole same thing. But then without Van Gogh, without camera, there might not be a Van Gogh type impressionist people. But without Van Gogh, there would not be a Picasso, where things become even more abstract. So because then now we can draw a symbol. Picasso's work is to draw a cube and say this is the woman I like. A cube is a woman that you like. So I think he actually means something with that.
Yeah.
But then the idea is so abstract. So all these are creativity. But without these creativity, we will not have the next thing and the next thing. So if people are using the technology to actually try to improve life, improve the world, so let's say in the drawing case, or in the E equals mc squared mathematical case, it's actually okay. So back to your question, would AI limit or be able to actually help us to actually go to the next step to actually find new things? It really depends on how you use it, right? Because if it's all it knows is here, even though it knows so many things, then you're stuck within here. But if you ask that one more question, that now that we have a camera or an AI that can do so many things, what's our next step? That's your generation needs to figure out.
From the story that you just told, like AI is like the camera back then, and for us to really take that next step, someone's got to be Van Gogh. They gotta
see the next
they gotta
use
go over the
Yes.
norms. They gotta exceed the norms and become something that's purely unique to really encourage some sort of development in creativity.
I agree. In the last 2 weeks, there was this OpenAI thing that actually talks about this Japanese Ghibli. Miyazaki is actually a very famous Japanese animation person, and then because now it's so easy, you can just say take a picture and then say draw it Miyazaki style.
Oh yeah, give it a specific
Ghibli style, right? Ghibli is a studio name, and then so does it mean that Miyazaki-san is actually outdated? Maybe if he don't improve, but if we start seeing that, if most people can actually do it, that's first. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, because it actually showcases that there is a popularity in that specific style.
Yep. But then the question is, do we still have soul in those pictures?
Yeah.
Do we still have creativity in those pictures?
There isn't a purpose or story in it.
If it's just a poem, there's no story.
The purpose is to make it look like that. There's
no story, right?
There's no intention.
You're just copying.
Yep.
So the difference about copying and creating is the thing. But it's getting more and more difficult because it's 60%, 80%. You can actually draw that easily.
It's because, and also that it's with with Soul, it's you can now implement AI in
many new ways.
So it's really controversial. It's a highly it's one of the most greatest zones I've really ever encountered or ever really thought of, because it's it's like a new step to life. It's
to life. Or
technology,
or also existing. Some people actually argue the other way.
Setting the new norms.
Setting a potential new norm for all creativity, but at the same time, the existentialists will argue that we don't even exist because everything is actually there.
Yeah.
So it's up to human to find our future, and we're at this stage.
Yeah, like it's existentialism. It's a good phrase. It's, when you're really exploring your purpose of life, then because it's because with the modern day changing, you're really exploring the purpose.
Yeah.
Like through this change, and this change might actually help more people to embrace creativity, embrace like to really test their limits, because when there are norms, there are definitely norm breakers.
Yes.
There are definitely people who try to break those norms, and this is really something that's very interesting about modern days AI and how there's this leap of faith that people might take.
Yeah.
And it's I'm really looking forward to that.
But the danger, I need to remind everybody, is that we might become lazy, right? Because I can do 80% just by a prompt, right? I can do the 500 words summary just by 5 words, something like that, right? Then if we just become lazy, we become nothing.
Yeah.
So you're correct. We need to push it, but at the same time, even all of us who are trying to push it, sometimes we become lazy. So we need to figure that area to actually see. In education, back to your first point, I think we need to walk together, because it's something new. I'm not trying to teach something, but at the same time, we need to walk together to understand. Sometimes we can push ourselves even more, but you don't want to be pushed all the time, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes we are lazy. Where do we find the new ground? And then also back to the first question asked by the Hong Kong University in the Hong Kong Island, is that what about assessment? How do we assess people? I think that's another thing for another
I feel like,
topic.
honestly, speaking of assessment and going with creativity, then it's because it's a different era.
Yeah.
You should get tested differently.
Agreed.
Modern days. Previously, we're not tested the same way that in those like 200 years ago. They don't write essays back then. They don't do research back then. Because of our technological development, we changed the way that people are tested or examined, and that's definitely something that's gonna go with AI. We might not have exams in maybe 20 years when it's more developed. We might all be writing essays. We might all be doing a totally different. Something that we couldn't really imagine of nowadays, and that's also one of the ways that people break the limits and take the leap. I feel like.
I think you said it very right. I think it's actually a very interesting area that we will see, and it's a new era. So that's why we actually stop calling you guys Generation Z, because it's a new generation. It's a Generation Alpha, where when you are growing into your future, how AI would be a very important part of it. Is it making us better or more creative, or is it making us more lazy? The education system need to adjust to it.
Everything's got to adjust it. Like all the systems, not just education, but in the form of education. Since we're at university,
we better be preparing people for that.
The university should also prepare themselves for it as well.
Really agree. Otherwise, we'll be irrelevant.
Thanks for tuning into our HKUST ENTRU podcast. Catch us on YouTube podcasts, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We hope to see you next time.